Hello, curious minds. Welcome to this new journey of becoming a generative AI professional. I hope that this journey benefits everyone. May you be a beginner or an experienced developer, we will make sure that this journey has enough for everyone in the most simple way. In our journey, we are going to cover the most basic to the most advanced topics of the three technologies, which are data science, machine learning, and generative AI. However, at all times, we will keep things as simple as possible while we will make progress on the most advanced concept so that our fundamental knowledge of the technology is very clear, and when we apply it for implementation in solving a real world problem, we use it in the most correct way instead of finding some temporary solutions. To do this, imagine yourself flying above the clouds with a vast ocean of all the popular words that you are hearing these days: data science, machine learning, deep learning, generative AI. And if that's not enough, we are now hearing more and more of OpenAI, ChatGPT, Copilot, SageMaker, Google Bard, Midjourney, and whatnot. To avoid ourselves being overwhelmed by these jargons, we are going to see the world with a very systematic top down approach where basically we will start with a sky scan of the generative AI world. We will have a leap of faith in ourselves that we are brave enough to jump out of the comfortable plane with our parachute, and as we descend down at each height, we will have a precise focus on the minimum jargons as needed to keep things simple. So firstly, we will descend down to 100,000 feet view where we are going to understand what data science is. We are also going to see what machine learning is, and then we will move on to the generative AI. However, this does not mean that we are going to spend days and weeks in theoretical knowledge. Instead, we will look for every early opportunity to code and make our hands dirty to understand the topic. In the next step, we are going to dive a little deeper at our 50,000 feet view. At that point, we are going to have a high level understanding of the foundational tools that will be needed to get us started with the coding. After that, we are going to dive deep at the 30,000 feet view where we will be setting up our coding environment on our local machine and in the cloud as well. In the next step, we will be at the 10,000 feet view. This is the view which we all want to be at the earliest. This is the developer's world where we are going to build our first end-to-end hands-on use case using data science and machine learning. Once we are done with the developer's view of understanding how to build a program and solve a business problem, we will be changing our guards from being a developer to a complete professional. Why do we need it? In most of the learning courses, you would have experienced that a good amount of time is spent on how to develop a program, how to code it. But when we want to work as a professional in a real world, then we do not just want to build the program, but we would rather need to know how to make it as a package solution by deploying it to the production. So no matter how good we have coded the product, we must have the knowledge of deploying it with the correct strategies so that our solution is not just a piece of code but a complete product. It is a solution that is going to solve a real world problem in an intelligent way. With that, we will complete our first iteration of learning where we have seen everything from the scratch and delivered a packaged product. Once we have completed this iteration, we will put our feet on the ground, and this is the time when we will have all the necessary knowledge to get a business problem, develop a solution, and deliver it as a product. This is how we are going to repeat this process many times when we are going to get a new business use case again. So let's start with the 100,000 feet view of understanding what data science, machine learning, and generative AI is. So the very first thing we would want to understand is that what is data science? As we can say in the name itself, it is about understanding data. But why do we want to understand the data? With the endless flow of data in last decade, there is a massive need of making sense of this historical data and make future prediction. We are getting better hardware with the cloud, we are getting better technologies with generative AI, but at the core of it, we have to make inferences, we have to make predictions based on the data. So data science in very simple term is where we are trying to understand what our data is and make future prediction based on this data. To do that, we must understand the data and extract useful insights from it. So digging up of useful insight from data is primarily what data science is. Just a word of caution. Data science itself is a big part of the whole AI world. But given that our journey is more oriented towards understanding generative AI, we will be touching data science topics to the level that will lay enough strong foundation for us. After gaining useful insights from the data, we want to make predictions on this data. And to perform prediction, to make decisions for the future, that set of tools and techniques are basically covered in the machine learning world. Now, what is machine learning? Machine learning is to automate and perform decision making by learning from useful data insights. We are automating our decision making by learning from the data. Where are we getting this data from? We are getting this data, this useful data, useful insights by using data science skills. Now, a lot of business problems can be solved by using traditional data science and machine learning techniques. Though, if we want to step towards generative AI, we must make more intelligent systems. An intelligent system that can work very well in a human way. And for that, deep learning comes into picture. In deep learning, we'll basically deal with advanced machine learning programs or algorithms which are primarily called neural networks. And let's not be scared after hearing the word neural networks. As always, we are going to keep things simple. And at this time, deep learning is basically advanced machine learning where we will try to mimic how a human brain works. These deep learning programs actually enable us to build responses that are not good only for some tech person, but these responses can be understood by even a non-tech person. This program will basically be in our natural language, may it be English. And when we have the capability of creating responses in natural language, it will effectively mean that we can also feed the instruction in a natural language as well. So instead of writing a program in some programming language, we will have the capability to provide instruction and get responses in a natural language way. And that's where we are generating the responses intelligently. And the name given to this style of programming is generative AI. So we are going to see generative AI as a part of deep learning, though again we will limit our discussion in deep learning just enough to lay a strong foundation for generative AI. Now moving on, let's dive deep to the 50,000 feet view now. At 50,000 feet view, which is a little deeper than 100,000 feet view, we are going to understand the foundational topic and the terminologies that we will need to get started. These terminologies, the jargons, which confuses us so much, especially when we are new in a particular technology. To reduce our confusion and stress of knowing the new jargon, we will consider these jargons as a dragon. We will ensure to keep this dragon as limited as possible. At this time, we need to know the bare minimum jargons to get started. So, the first jargon, fortunately, is a very easy one. It is called Python. So, what is Python? Simply putting, it is a popular programming language for data science, machine learning, and generative AI projects. Another popular language for the same thing is R. So, we can use either of these. However, Python has been getting a lot more popularity, arguably so, and we will be doing our development in Python only. The next jargon that you would encounter is Anaconda. Anaconda is a free distribution of Python when we want to develop projects in data science and machine learning. We would need Python to be running in our own computer, and if we want to use our local computer, one of the best way to get Python up and running is to simply download Anaconda and install it. We are going to install Anaconda in our next lesson with a hands-on session. The next jargon that we will be encountering or we should know is Jupyter. A Jupyter is basically a browser-based code editor, although it is a little bit different than the traditional code editor. So if you're coming from Java or .NET background, you would recall that most of the code editor is on the screen. All you see on the screen is code only. However, in Jupyter, you will see the coding is being done in a web browser, and you will find initially a little different to code in a browser, but soon you would appreciate the capabilities that Jupyter brings when we start coding into a browser. For now, let's understand that Jupyter is a simple code editor that we will be using in our initial days. The next jargon that we are going to encounter is notebook. A notebook is simply a Python program. So instead of calling a program, when we write the same program using a Jupyter code editor, we are going to call it a notebook. Next for us will be AWS SageMaker. SageMaker is a service provided by AWS that we can use to develop our project in AWS cloud instead of developing or deploying in our local. In the first iteration, we will simply use SageMaker as a cloud version of Jupyter. We are not going to explore all the features that SageMaker brings, and there is a ton of advantage of making use of SageMaker. But initially, we will restrict ourselves to making use of Jupyter in SageMaker only. The other two popular cloud providers are Azure and Google Cloud, which provide a similar service like SageMaker. In Azure, it is called Machine Learning Studio, and Google provides it in the name of Vertex AI. Whatever we can do in AWS SageMaker, we can do in a very similar way in Machine Learning Studio or Vertex AI, whatever is your choice. And while we will be building our solution primarily in AWS SageMaker, please be assured that if you are stuck in any of these steps, then you can reach out to me either through the website for a one-on-one conversation, or you can even post your question in the comment section of this video. And with this, let's go to the final section, which we call it a garage. And why do we call it a garage? A garage is basically our workshop where we are going to build the projects. This garage for you can be your local installation of Anaconda, or it can be AWS SageMaker or Azure MLS or Vertex AI. Whatever is your preferred choice. Whenever we say let's go to the garage, we can go to the environment that we prefer, and we can start coding in that. Again, if you are stuck at any point, we will try to be in touch as quick as possible. All right, let's get started with the very first thing of installing Python in our local computer using Anaconda. Time to roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty with coding.